Welcome, and thank you for joining this session of Innovation Institute 2021. With nearly 50 sessions available through the summer, we know you'll be discovering new skills, strategies, and resources to transform the teaching and learning in your classroom, and we would love to hear from you. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to visit the Town Hall in Attendify to connect with the attendees through the activity stream or community features. If you would like a certificate of attendance for attending this session, you will find the request form linked at the end of the session description in Attendify. Thank you, and enjoy this session from one of our amazing Innovation Institute presenters.
We will get started. Welcome to our last session with Lynn. And Lynn, do I pronounce your last name Scrogan?
Yes.
And so this session is Zoomalicious, tasty tips for more elegant Zooming. So we really appreciate you attending I2, the Innovation Institute, this 2021 school year. And let me tell you a little bit about Lynn. Lynn is a former teacher, principal, and tech director for the Boulder Valley Schools. He is a digital learning architect at the University of Colorado, Denver. He's also a blogger, been on TEDx 2 times. And Lynn, correct me, do I say this SXSW?
South by Southwest.
Okay. South by Southwest, yes. He's been a speaker there 3 times and recognized EdTech author and conference speaker. He serves as the online community manager for LinkedIn and LinkedIn's VR AR media group of 20,000 plus members and a contributing expert panelist on the 2015 and 2020 International Horizon reports. So we're very excited to have you with us. I'm going to include some links from Lynn in the chat, both on Attendify and within Zoom here. So make sure you engage in that Attendify chat. So take it away, Lynn. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Welcome to my dining room. Welcome to Zoomalicious. Yes, how to have a more delightful dining experience with Zoom and any Zoom teaching learning that you're going to have in the future. I don't think it's going to go away. I think we'll have a little bit of a backlash for a while, but it's very useful for kids for all types of blended and other remote learning situations that will accost in the future. So should still be quite useful. Let's go ahead with our little presentation. And the first thing I want to talk about, every good formal dinner environment has seating arrangements, and where people know the expectation, from the and the invitations you get, you know where to sit, you know how to dress, you know what time it starts, you get all the expectations out of the way. Well, that's the first thing, and that has to do with the link that Jamie is posting for me there. I ran into these at a recent conference. I thought they were quite delightful, and so I leave these with you. These are some expectations that are translated in English and in Spanish for what the teacher should plan on prior to Zooming, expectations for the parents on Zooming, and expectations for students on Zooming. So this is a great resource, one of the best resources I've seen in terms of setting the table, shall we say, as you can see in front of you. Very delightful table. Now, next, I'd like to mention a few other things that really make a difference with setting up a great Zoom experience, and that is really using the names and using them specifically with children and with young adults, whatever grade level you teach. But calling people out by like Stacy and Jessica and Carrie, and asking them questions and referring to their name throughout your presentation, that we know from some of the more recent best practices is very useful. Also, checklists and note catchers are a very useful addition to a Zoom session. Why does it have to just be a talking head? This is what you call a talking head. But we can also have checklists, note catchers, organizers, graphic organizers, and the like. Here's some of the ones that I've seen used. These are some of the ones I use on the right side with the presentation I do on Zoom, which is 2 different ways to take notes. One is more detailed and one is big picture ideas. Another one's a little checklist that's provided to elementary students. So as you work through a lesson, they know that they've done this, they've done that, and you move through it. So to have a checklist activity that accompanies a Zoom session is another best practice worth your consideration. Then other kinds of expectations, not just the expectations before you start, but expectations for behavior during a Zoom session can be really vital. And some of the ones I've seen there, I just plopped one in here to show you. These are the type of expectations you would express and share with students. I'll let you see those real quickly. Except for I'm in the way of this one over here, avoid distractions, right? And then another example would be this one, which might be really great for breakout groups, just that sort of thing. And then another important thing about a great delightful Zoomalicious session is to have a good atmosphere. And how do we do a better atmosphere? How do we provide a better atmosphere with Zoom lessons? Let's think about that one here. Well, the first thing is chunking things, moving things from big pieces to small pieces. Anything that we're like using breakout rooms or taking lengthy activities and dividing them up, that sort of thing. So once again, known as chunking, and of course, all the breakout capabilities that you have in a Zoom session that can be used very effectively. Then another way to build a better atmosphere is with energy. So using voice, modulation, volume, whispering. Hey, everybody, here's a secret everybody needs to know. So your face, your gestures, standing. Now, this is one case where I'm not, but almost all the time when I teach on a Zoom lesson, I stand because I have more energy. I have more vitality. It makes me go wild. So standing is another trick that it can be very, very useful to folks if you can handle that, if you don't have to do it all day, shall we say. So then another technique, another strategy I think is really effective is this one, which is really learning how to use support better in a Zoom session, like getting Zoom helpers who can help with breakouts or with technical topics where the student doesn't know how to do something, or they can break out with another student to get help on something. How to use volunteers in a Zoom session is a delightful proposition. There are ways to do them and use them in the breakouts again. So that's something to be thought about. Specialists like special needs teachers or reading interventionists. Why does it always have to be you as the teacher doing everything? Why can't some of the breakouts, why can't we have multiple activities with specialists or guests like the school janitor, or guests like the principal pops into a lesson, or guests like someone else well known in the school community, or maybe kind of a fun guest where you have a parent dressed like Abraham Lincoln or a parent dressed like Madame Curie comes in and acts a part and makes that little activity a little bit more fun and creates a better atmosphere. And of course, you know, anytime you go to a formal dinner party, you might have musicians there performing and so forth. So there's a lot you can do for entertainment. So once again, now remember, these are all just really concrete ways that I've tried to pep up my Zoom sessions for instruction, and these are appropriate at any level, grade level, from university down to primary. So entertainment, we got to have some entertainment in there. You know, here's the key word. You've got to have fun. Got to build in something into this Zoom that's out of the ordinary. Let's talk about fun. And the reason why I wanted to bring this in right now is because we know from brain research that the brain loves fun things. In fact, we know that the brain hates boring things. So in as much as we can add dollops dollops of fun. Not too much, because you can lose control but adding dollops of fun can really make a difference. Now, here's some of the things I've used. Let's see if you know about any of these or have any others that you can suggest. Please, if you have some others you can mention, throw them into the chat, and we'll all take advantage of it. But these are the main ones I've used, like icebreakers. Like I'll start each Zoom session with an icebreaker as they're gathering and into the first couple minutes for late arrivers, and then to kind of build some momentum into the instructional moment. I'll have some really, I have had games with contests and prizes. I've had superhero contests. I've had guess this individual contests. I've had ones where, like I mentioned today in a previous session, if you want to look at the fresh ideas for online learning, the window machine, which shows you a window on the world. You can look at different windows everywhere all over the world. And we turned it into a SEL activity. So I do a lot of icebreakers that are really motivating, and students respond. They just love them. I do a lot of themes. Themes, like, well, you're in one right now. Can somebody type in chat what the theme is here? It's a dining theme, right? It's Zoomalicious. So I'm even dressed formally for the occasion. Can you tell that? So I do a lot of themes. I have superhero themes. I have Martian themes. I have party themes. I have one help session where students come in for help, and I make it into a beach party. We're throwing beach balls around. I got videos running in the background from the beach. So you have themes associated with a given lesson. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. It could just be one Zoom session, not the same theme for the whole week, but you could do that. I've had a zombies theme, and you can do pirates, and you can do space, interplanetary type stuff, Star Wars, spies. I have a spy theme that I've done. So all of that's possible. I guess this is also my James Bond look too, isn't it? Anyway, the next thing is surprise. I like to build in a lot of surprise, things they don't expect. From one Zoom session to the next, they just never know what this guy's up to. So anytime you as a teacher can build in a little surprise into a Zoom session, you're taking advantage of that fun quotient, that fun equation. You're taking advantage of, you're destroying the brain hates boring things, and you're turning it on its head. So variety does this is also, I do a lot of variety throughout all the presentations that I deliver. And so you can change the order, you can change the structures, you can do breakouts, you can not do breakouts, you can do all kinds of things. Anything you can do to mix it up. Guest speaker this week, theme next week, icebreaker the next week, any kind of variety really helps. And then you can also do games or badges, where you reward badges for certain desirable behaviors, or play games online through the Zoom. Done a lot of that as well. Those are all ideas that can really make a difference, I think, in our presentations for Zoom. Now, of course, when you finally get down to serious business, you're going to serve the meal. And that means Zoom is about the learning, L for learning, the lesson plan, the learning. And so I don't mean to minimize that. I just mentioned earlier that we use dollops of these little experiences to sweeten the pot, to prepare the students for the meal, to make it more interesting and inviting. And you still got to focus on the learning at hand. So those are my key points from Zoomalicious. And now we'd like to turn to the chat. I'm going to pull up the chat on, I'm done with the formal part of this presentation. Now I'm hoping that, yes, you, Carrie, yes, even you, Jamie, even though you're supposed to be a moderator, you're hired. Stacy, Jessica, Corey, that you would either plop something into the chat with another great idea that you've used to make Zooms ever so delicious. In other words, Zoomalicious. And plop something into the chat, or come online with your microphone or with your video and say something. Otherwise, we'll have a pregnant pause.
Well, Lynn, one of the things we've done is what we call a waterfall chat. So we've had everybody think about a question, like we pose a question, have everybody think, type it all into the chat, and then at the same time, they hit enter. So we see everybody's answers all at once, as opposed to just a couple of people that drop things in every once in a while. So it's a really good way to kind of give everybody some wait time, and then also see everybody's answers at the same time.
And that way, one student can't influence the other, and they can, they might be too repetitive or, so anyway, brilliant, Carrie. That's magnificent. All right, the bar has been set high for Jamie, Stacy, Jessica, and Corey. Come on down. Wait a minute. Corey did contribute on the text. You have used, wait a minute, let's see, using breakout rooms in a purposeful way, allowing participants in the breakout rooms to choose their roles, timekeeper, questioner, etc. Excellent. And for independent help sessions where students can ask questions. Very good. I like all of those. So Stacy has never created a Zoom, but I think there are ways to do things that you do in a face-to-face setting that you can still do on Zoom, like dress in a costume and guess where I'm at, kinds of things. So all right, now we still haven't heard from Jessica. Jessica, do you have anything? And Jamie, you've got to contribute, Jamie, because you're important.
I just put the comment about the breakout rooms, that using those in a purposeful way and allowing participants to choose their role.
Oh, I see. Yes, you did participate. There you go. And then we have, let's see here. We have Suzanne. I didn't see all the people here. There, Suzanne contributed using Kahoot and quizzes for test reviews on the Zoom. Right, exactly right. Beautiful example, Suzanne. And then we're still waiting to hear from Jessica if she's not indisposed. So those are all really great ideas. I do a lot more with Zoom, but I try to limit this presentation to just, my big 7 ideas so that it's more consumable, palatable. And so trying to think of something. Let me just look at the chat. Okay, we've lately experimented with Miro. I've been using Miro while in Zoom meetings, and it's a collaborative design tool, right? And I've done Jamboard in Zoom. Anybody else done that?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the other one? I've done Google Docs in Zoom, and I've got a game that what's that? It's like a Family Feud version of Family Feud that could be put your own content in for specific learning areas. And so I've done that with Zoom. One of my best Zoom tools is Flippity. Are you familiar with flippity.net? There's a question.
I don't think I've heard of that one. I don't think I've heard of Flippity.
Flippity. Let me type that into the chat so you can see how you look at it. It's under flippity.net. It's got a whole set of templates that you can create, and then it's got games and board games and all kinds of things that you can create. Like you could have a question tournament, just like a NCAA tournament, with where you're competing against each other. You could have a little tournament thing up there. Anyway, it's filled with maybe 24 different tools that you can turn into, I use on Zoom. I've done those. Now let's go back to Jessica, who said, has anyone successfully used the Zoom whiteboard for engaging activities? Anybody out there that's used the whiteboard? I have not used the whiteboard yet, but I imagine I could. So we've got basically no one else has used the whiteboard. One of the tools, one of the tricks I mentioned in, there's two things I wanted to mention. There's some new Zoom features, and one of them is this one here, which is the ability for me to inset my picture anywhere in the PowerPoint, right? And so that, I think, adds a little more pizzazz. Instead of just words on the screen and me talking off the side, I can point at things and have some good gestures, et cetera, that, because if once the screen is on, they don't pay much attention to the little pictures, you know, over on the side. Do y'all know how to do that? Type in yes or no. You want to learn how to do that, or is it not of interest? Nope, nobody's interested in doing that.
I think it would be kind of interesting. Is it something that is set in your backgrounds? Like, how would you change that?
Well, when you go to share screen, the first thing that comes up is it has at the very top of your screen says basic, advanced, and something else. Okay. And so you just click on it, advanced. That's the middle tab. And you'll see one of the choices is to put your image right on a PowerPoint. Okay. So that's the little tip for you. The second thing is now, given the, now this only applies from your point of view, but it really can, I'm starting to figure out how to use this. But you can now move, if you have a class like this, and I push this into gallery view, let me just, let me stop sharing and it'll make more sense. Imagine that everybody had your picture here. Imagine there were another 5 or 6 people, so we had a little bit more folks on the screen. Okay, you can actually grab your picture or my picture and put it at the bottom left. Okay, and now you folks aren't allowing me to do that, so it's just like you might have disabled it, but it's, or you might have an older version of Zoom, but I can actually move pictures around in the room that I can see on different sides. So what I mentioned in a previous session is I was able to have people with different opinions on different sides of the screen, and we could have students do that. So if a student expresses a certain point of view, they have to take that student and move him to the right or move him to the left. So this is the first time I haven't been able to do it. Maybe the Zoom in Attendify, or there's something about the host Zoom here that's not having that new feature. But I actually can move things around, and it helps me as a teacher watch specific kids, but it also can help me organize, like a graphic organizer, if you will. But now what I create, no one else can see. And what you create, no one else can see. So that's an example.
So if we were to, so if on my screen I were to separate the students into the 2 groups, I would see that in my view, but the rest of the group would not see that in their view. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And back on in the world of themes, remember I said I had like a help session, which was advertised as a, let me push this, I'm trying to push something on Zoom, but it's not participating. Let's see if it'll come in or not. There it is. Remember I said I had a help session where it was called instead of coming to the help session for this lesson, it was come to the beach party. We'll give you help. So we threw a party on the beach, and I had a different outfit than this, of course, you know, on a beach ball. And so you provide a theme. That was another example of a theme that I had. So, and then by the way, with my superhero lessons, I have mastered the art of flying. So I have learned how to do that and turn, but no, I can't do it now sitting because I always do that standing. So I can fly through a lesson. Okay.
That's amazing. And you're flying backwards. Is that correct? I'm trying to.
They can't tell. It's just, you know. And then I can reverse the image too. So
is that all in the background settings? Is that what that?
Yeah, those are virtual background settings.
That's great.
So those are some examples or some more examples of what I've been experimenting with, because you know the current dynamic associated with Zoom these days is not a popular one. Do you agree with that? Okay, look at the 2020 technical word of the year. You're muted. Or how about the 2020 Yiddish word of the year? Ausgezoomt. I'm zoomed out. So people, there's a lot of bad blood with Zoom, and I'm more dedicated to doing interesting things with Zoom whenever possible. Anybody else done something really, really creative? Something truly Zoomalicious?
It has been useful too with professional development. If Carrie and I wanted to collaborate and push out some professional development, we could just schedule a Zoom, and she and I could then record that Zoom and push that to teachers, and they could attend asynchronously.
And I ask you again, what's wrong with the periodic theme and dressing the part? And, you know, you can really make things a little bit more interesting and perk up their interest, as long as it's not always the same. So this is one I use for my zombie theme. And then sometimes even in a given class, like a little lesson I'm teaching that, and it had the zombie theme, that becomes old. So partway through, I will change to a different, it's still the zombie theme, but I'll change to just a little different image that, and I don't overdo the themes. I mean, or the visual backgrounds. I simply use one and stick with it throughout. Maybe two. This is the second one I'd use in the zombie piece. So, okay.
Awesome.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for all your Zoomalicious ideas. And I'll share this screen that participants can go, and if they need a certificate of attendance, we just really appreciate you, Lynn, and sharing your ideas for how to engage our students more through Zoom. And thank you to each of you for your participation today in Innovation Institute. We hope to see you back in 2022.
Thank you for joining this session. To request a certificate of attendance, you can access the link at the bottom of the session description, scan the QR code here, or go to bit.ly/I2 certificate. Bit.ly shorteners are case sensitive, so please be sure to use all uppercase letters. Hear what insight other I2 attendees and presenters might have on this session and other breakout sessions by connecting with the Innovation Institute community on Facebook or Twitter at I2 Esdale or in Attendify's interactive features. And don't forget to mark your calendar for June 8th and 9th to join us for I2 2022. Thank you.